Today we are talking about supercars. Supercars at a young age. Should you do it? Should you not do it? The pros and cons. Let's just say you're in the market. And if you are in the market for a supercar, congratulations. It's a huge feat, especially at a young age. But I'm here to tell you that it is not all what it is hyped up to be. Little backstory. I've always been in the cars since I was a kid, watching Fast and Furious. Wanted to be like Paul Walker, and that was the whole kind of mission for my business, was to buy cool cars. And early on, I had an old Mustang in high school, which kind of got me into all of it. But took a little break for a little bit, and then when I was 22 or 23, I can't remember, I bought a C6 Corvette LS LS3. Thing was sweet. That Corvette could rip, man. That thing was fast. And then from the Corvette, I said, I want to get something a little bit more like flashy, high end. So I went and bought a Maserati Gran Turismo. And Maserati gets a bad name, but the Gran Turismo with the Ferrari engine, the 4.7 GTS, those cars, man, for the money are insane. The way they sound, they're decently fast. The interior, besides the touchscreen, which is outdated, the interior is beautiful. The exterior is very sharp, done by Ferrari. It's a great car. I bought two of them, in fact. I had a white one with I had a black one with an all red interior, and then I got a white on white one a year later. And those were, again, for the money, they were $150,000 new sticker price. So that tells you the car you're dealing with. But you can pick them up nowadays for 30, 40 grand. They're a great car, great deal, great bargain. Reliability isn't the greatest, but I was fortunate and didn't have any problems. So, Corvette, Maseratis. Then I bought my first R8. I bought a 2008 Audi R8 V8 from California. And dude, that, again, for the money, as an entry-level supercar, that thing was amazing. It was fun to drive. It was fast. It was, mid-engine, engine in the back. It got a lot of attention. It was a blast to drive. I paid $60,000 for mine. I paid cash for it. I didn't want to deal with the payment, so I paid cash for it. But honestly, here's the thing with when you start to get into those that level of car. It's not a regular car at that point. Oil changes are no longer $100. Oil change on that is $600, sometimes $700 from the dealership, and you can't do them yourself. I didn't have it long enough to really go through all the hell of it. But if you're gonna buy an Audi R8, just because you can afford the car, doesn't always mean you can afford to maintain the car. Again, if the transmission goes on that, it's not like a $4,000 transmission. Sometimes it's gonna cost you $30,000 to get the transmission fixed. So something to think about. But that car was amazing. That was the first car I felt like I was like a celebrity in. We picked it up California. My dad and I flew out to buy it sight unseen. Paid for it, drove it home together. And the best part of that car was just having my dad there to experience it with me and flying out. And I'm all excited and I'm proud because I know he's proud of me. And, I buy the car. I'm speechless. I just bought an R8. I was 25 years old. And driving home, man, windows down. We're driving down PCH. My dad's in the passenger seat. Everyone's looking at us, taking pictures. That was the coolest, maybe one of the best experiences of my entire life. I got it back home, and I had it for about 6 months. And I'm going to come back to this point here soon, but I'll speak on the last supercar that I had. I went from the Audi R8 V8 to the Audi R8 V10 because I wanted to experience what a V10 sounds like and feels like. And that was a 2011. It's basically the same car as a Gallardo, the Lamborghini Gallardo. It's basically the same car. And just like nowadays, the new R8s and the Huracans are basically the same exact car, owned under Volkswagen, same parts, engine experience, whatever. So, and that V10, man, that thing was, again, the sound of it was, I can't even describe it. That V10 sound in a R8, the way the thing drove, an amazing car. I paid under $100,000 for it. I think that is the best on the market right now, the best car to buy under $100,000 if you want to go supercar. I know some of the MP412Cs are kind of hitting that 100K mark, but those could be a nightmare, I've heard. The R8s are pretty solid cars. So anyway, going back to my point of having them, all these cars for maybe less than 6 months, is because, and I've only ever paid cash for my cars. I can't speak on the guys who finance them. I can see the pros and cons of financing. I didn't finance because I didn't want to deal with the headache of payments every month, interest on the loan. I didn't want to deal with that, so I just paid cash because I knew I'm very indecisive, impulsive. I kind of want to try new things here and there. So cash was my option. And when you pay cash, especially when you buy cars on Marketplace, you are able to negotiate a lot. So you can get, really solid cars. If you have cash, you have buying power. And if you have buying power, you can get these great, incredible cars for great deals. If an R8 is posted for 90 and you say, hey, dude, I got 80,000 cash, that speaks. And then, so let's just say you make that work. You pay 80,000 for a car that's worth 90,000. That's a pretty sweet deal. And the cool thing with doing this, real quick, is I only ever lost money on the first R8. Every other car, even the second R8, even the Maserati, surprisingly, the Corvette, I had a little Audi A5. I made money on every single car because, again, buying power is important and negotiating is important. So a lot of these times I drove the car for basically free, and then on most of them I made money on the cars. I made a few $1,000s per car, so that worked out. But going back to the con of this is the headache of maintenance and reliability. Me, I'm very OCD. I'm very anal about my cars. I'm always stressed, worried. If I park it in the parking lot, I'm like, hey, if I'm in the gym, I'm like, is somebody out there scratching my car? What if it got dinged? Hit and runs are very common in parking lots on cars like this because people don't want to pay or have their insurance pay for cars like these. So it's very common to get hit and someone just peels off. So that really got annoying after a while. I couldn't really take it anywhere. The only place it felt safe was like valet, but then you got to pay valet and whatever. So the stress of the car was constant. And also what you'll learn about these cars, my next point is it's like a honeymoon phase. The first week you own the car there's nothing like it. You want to drive it everywhere. You'll sit and stare at it in your garage. There's no better feeling than just like, I just fucking bought this car. This is mine. I just bought an Audi R8. There's no better feeling. And but what you realize is you kind of become desensitized to the experience and to ownership. And I'm not going to speak for all supercar owners, but I'll say for me specifically, it lasted about 2 months with the car before I either just wanted my money back or I was ready for a different car, because these cars are just cars and they perform differently. You get a different reaction from them. But for someone like me who just lives in Chandler, I'd only go to the gym and maybe out to dinner with Megan. There was no really point for me to have this car. If now, let's say I lived in California on the beach, it was a lot more happening. There's more opportunity, people, places to go. It'd make more sense. But for me here, I was just like, dude, I have nowhere to take the car, And I'm so busy with work, and the whole car club thing didn't work out. I didn't like to really drive my cars hard. Whatever, personal preference. So that's kind of why I jumped from car to car to car. And then after the last R8, I said, you know what? Let's just take a break from the supercars, because I'm investing now. I'm almost at $100,000 per car, and it's the same kind of experience every single time. So I got it out of my system. I'm fortunate that I was able to do this at such a young age. But I do think it's important too that if you can do it, I would experience it. I would go do it. If you have the money and you want to go buy a Porsche, a Lambo, McLaren, and you've been saving, you've been working hard, I'm a firm believer in work hard, play hard, and you need to reward yourself. You got to keep some motivation going. But just know that the excitement, it's hard to believe, even with these supercars, it doesn't last very long. That's why a lot of these guys who own supercars are constantly buying new ones. You're like, wait, you just bought that Lambo, now you're buying a Ferrari, now you're buying a a McLaren. Now you're buying a super hypercar. And it's like, because it's true, you do become desensitized to the car. So don't put your whole life into them. If you have some play money and want to go play around, have fun, do it. But again, there is really nothing like owning it. Again, for someone like me, that's the whole reason why I got into business, is because I love cars and I wanted to be able to buy cool cars one day. So do it, but do it with caution, I would say. So that's that.